Siempre adelante, nunca atrás. Forever forward, never back. In his letter to his parents when he left Mallorca to come to the New World, he wrote to his parents saying that he was fulfilling the missionary calling of the church, which he loved from very early years on. But he wrote that in his letter. He said, I will never see you again, but siempre adelante, nunca atrás.
From Mexico, Blessed Junipero Serra began his journey north with Spanish soldiers.
He turns to the military guy who has latitude and longitude, and he asks the question directly, am I now in Upper California? Have I crossed the border? And the military person says yes. And literally Junipero Serra gets off the donkey and kisses the ground. He's on sacred ground. Because in his mind, being a student of SCOTUS, he is now entering this world that is completely innocent. This world that he terms the forest, and he is the one bringing the gospel where it has never been brought before.
In a sense, you could say, if you wanted to, that Junipero Serra and the Franciscans were the first immigrants to what we know as Alta California. They came here to Christianize the natives, not to tear down their civilization, but to build upon it.
For California Indian descendants who lost family and a way of life because of the missions, it's hard for them to interpret how their civilization was brought up to date.
Being a rational human being, we have to say, he wasn't trying to kill everybody. He wasn't. He wasn't trying to destroy every Indian person, because he wasn't. But the system that he began, that he led, that started this destruction that we're still having impacts today.
The Lord be with you. Lift up your heart. Let us give thanks to the Lord our God.
Junipero Serra grows up in a world in which corporal punishment is entirely the norm. When Serra grew up, almost certainly his own father would have punished him with spankings or with blows when he stepped out of line. And this notion that children are punished by their fathers carries over to the California missions, in which the missionaries believe they are the spiritual fathers of Indians. So they take upon themselves the responsibility to punish Indians with corporal punishment, with blows and with various forms of beatings. This was entirely alien to California Indians. It's not how they lived. It isn't something they fully understood, and they deeply resented this kind of behavior.
The controversy was, do you spank the Indians, which is provided for in law? You don't beat them. You never beat them. And Serra realized that. The Spanish had a lot better insight into punishment than, say, the Anglos did. What happened in what became the United States? Slavery. You never had slavery in the Spanish missions.
Most generally at a mission, you got up when the sun got up. You started work early. They ate, for the most part, communally. They attended services every day in the church. The church that you see standing today was built in 1809. It was called the Great Church, and it was able to handle 1,300 people at Mass every day.
There was a schedule of life that Serra himself grew up with in Mallorca by the ringing of the church bell. The bell rings at this time, and you do this, and then this time, and so that was the alarm clock, or that they lived by. Now that's different the way the natives would live out on their own, because my hunch was that I'm sure there were certain things that they had on schedule, but it was kind of probably a pretty laissez-faire world. So having to be regulated so strictly, I'm sure was not the easiest thing to accept or adjust to.
There are people who are critical of the canonization because they associate Serra with missions that they view as oppressive and coercive. And there's no doubt that the missions had a coercive dimension to them. But it's also a chance to look, I think, at the more nuanced relationships that came out of these kinds of encounters between missionaries and Native peoples over a long period of time.
The canonization for Serra has really encouraged us, as well as the diocesan bishops, to seriously look at the place of the California Mission Indians in our history and heritage and where they fit today. And so in reflecting on that, it's quite obvious that there really has not been a place for the California Mission Indians descendants, especially since the gold rush time.